Well, hello. Hello, everybody. Glad to see you all back for part two. How's my sound before we get started on this? Another eventful legal quagmire. Hey, hi. Hey, Aniki, Sandy, Charlie, Ginger, Kim, Kyle's Goldfish, Shay. Hey, how you guys doing? Am I muted? Hmm. I hope I'm not muted. Thank you, Frobsky. Are you playing with me? Hi. This not nice. This not nice. Okay, well, I see by the poll that I put up above that you guys want to start with the Manson case against Woods instead of the individual cases. There are still 4 active cases in this quagmire. That's what I'm calling it now. Mm-hmm. And because there are other words that I could use, but it's daylight and this is a serious show, so I'm gonna be kind. Just call it a quagmire. Am I roboing? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Let me check something. Is that serious, Charlie? It is. Okay. I think I fixed part of it. Okay. Okay. All right. So some of you say I'm sound good. So, call it a. Oh, yeah, I could. I could actually. All right, good. No. Oh, okay, Charlie. Okay, yeah, I should have caught that because oi, Robsky, hey, no, no. Okay, good. All right, so then let's get started. First, I've got something to put up for you. Legal cases. Now, unfortunately, with this one, the type is kind of small. Okay, but we'll get down to the original charges here. We're going to start by, based on last Monday when we were talking, that Charles, Marilyn Manson has a bunch of charges against him. Not charges, but civil cases. This isn't criminal. None of these cases are criminal, okay? Although some of the offenses that are accused do fall under criminal statutes. But based on the time that has passed and statutes and other avenues that are available, or everything had to be done civilly. Okay, in the state of California, where all of these cases are filed, the statute of limitations does have amendments that are allowed based on there being trauma or memory regression, or it be a physical acts of violence, especially in these cases, which are sexual assault cases. All of the cases standing against Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, are of that nature. And again, I will give you the disclaimer, as I always do. We're going to use the real words. We're going to talk about the real situations here. There is language within the filings that can be really hard to take. There are situations that are explained in great detail that may be difficult to hear. I'm going to try not to go into too much detail into the claims, the individual claims. But for those of you that are murder minions, that want to actually go over the actual filings, I'm going to offer a private streaming for those types of details. I don't really think that should be exposed to millions of people at this point, unless they actually want to hear it. I think you should have a choice, not like some people have in regards to these accusations. But I'm not going to condemn Marilyn Manson either until the evidence is put forward, as he has not set foot in a courtroom yet at all. One case has been dismissed. That was Ashley Walters, his assistant, based on not enough facts being forward, about the regression memory amendment not being allowed based on the circumstances that she put forward. In that particular case, her sexual harassment under the Bain Act was actually perpetrated by him in a work environment and actually was put in the situation that other people actually caused the harassment, the abuse, the discomfort that she felt, although he did create the environment for it, and he being Marilyn Manson. But that case was dismissed, as we discussed on Monday. All right, so the one you want to get into right away is Manson's case against Evan Rachel Woods. Now, some of you, just a little bit of detail, may remember from Monday and from previous videos that I've done that Evan Rachel Woods has been very strong in this Phoenix Rising organization that she created in actually helping to get the statutes extended for these types of cases, okay, to actually make groups where people who feel they were wronged in a pattern type way under these situations can get together and discuss it. She's been quite instrumental in Congress, in legislation, all the way back into the early 2016, 2017, 2018, into getting the acts amended that actually help survivors, help victims get the care, get the treatment with dignity that they need, and to help preserve the evidence long term until they're ready to come forward. Okay, because it is a crime when it happens, if it's known, certain things go into place. Rape kits are taken, interviews are done. All of this is preserved until charges are filed. Most of the time, you need the victim to come forward to be able to place those charges. We are not always ready, and the legislation has been changed to help in these situations, especially in California. Okay, where, as I said, all of these cases have been filed. Now, because Evan Rachel was one of the strongest voices in this, she is being blamed by Manson. I'm going to call him Manson because that's how you know him, right? I'm going to call him Manson because that's the most familiar name you have. But legally, we all know it's Brian Warner, correct? So Manson has decided that what Rachel Evan Woods has done is create an onslaught media attack against him. And none of this is true. And everything was consensual. Everything that ever happened with anyone was consensual. And he wants us, based on this lawsuit, to disregard 16 women's statements because he thinks they were fabricated based on pressure from Evan Rachel Woods. It is true she has an organization, Phoenix Rising, that deals with helping people get their stories out. It is true that organization deals in advocacy for extending the statute for women who feel traumatized against things that happen to them and aren't ready to come forward. All that's true. But it gets a little sticky. And I'm going to let you guys decide. Well, first, I'm going to tell you what he's claiming. And then we'll go and read her answer. So, Brian Warner, a.k.a. Marilyn Manson, filed in the Superior Court of the State of California these charges against Evan Rachel Wood, her partner, Ashley Gore, otherwise known as Ilma Gore. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation per se, violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act, and impersonation over the internet. Okay, and basically, I'm not going to read this word for word. I'll give you a synopsis right here. I'm sorry this is so tiny. This is the only document that came in this tiny as a Word doc through the website in Los Angeles court, and I've not been able to get it more clear yet. This action, this is actually the unfiled copy. It was the clearest one. It basically goes into their relationship, that they were in a seriously romantic relationship from 2006 to 2010. okay, during which time he claims she soaked up the spirited rock and roll lifestyle that came with being Warner's significant other. And for the first time, she really felt like she was around somebody and in an environment where she could just let go and not worry about being judged. And he put that in quotes as something she said, that she was craving danger and excitement, and that being with Manson put her in a creative overdrive. It was a healthy, loving relationship that supported this. In the 10 years after they split, Wood never once accused Warner of abuse until she met Gore, a grifter who understood that an organized attack on Warner, spearheaded by Wood's own fabricated revelation of rape and abuse, could benefit them both. Wood could be rebranded from someone who still might be best known for dating Marilyn Manson a decade ago into an outspoken standard bearer for victims of domestic violence or sexual assault, thereby absolving her reputation for having a wild past and her embarrassment for having been in a long-term relationship with Marilyn Manson. Okay. Now, these statements here are important. If you remember anything, we'll go back to them later. These statements are going to be important because he quote, to that end, for at least the last 2 years, Gore and Wood have secretly recruited, coordinated, and pressured prospective accusers to emerge simultaneously with alleged allegations of rape and abuse against Warner, and brazenly claimed that it took 10 or more years to realize their consensual relationships with Warner were supposedly abusive. Wood's and Gore's wrongful conduct is, furthermore, of their conspiracy is staggering. They impersonated an actual agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation by forging and distributing a fictitious letter from the agent to create the false appearance that Warner alleged victims and their families were in danger and that there was a federal criminal investigation of Warner ongoing. See attachment A. Yes, I'm going to show you. They provided checklists and scripts to prospective accusers listing the specific alleged acts of abuse that they should claim against Warner, attachments B and C. They made knowingly false statements to prospective accusers, which have since been repeated by those accusers in court filings, including the defamatory claim that Warner filmed the sexual assault of a minor. Additionally, in furthering this conspiracy, Gore solicited Warner's personal information from former employees who were entrusted with such information, hacked Warner's computers, phones, and email accounts and social media accounts, and created a fictitious email account to manufacture purported evidence that Warner was emailing illicit pornography, and swatted Warner just days after Wood suddenly appeared all over the media in order to draw further unwanted attention to Warner and to the false allegations Wood and Gore conspired to have made against him. That's a lot. This is all legal stuff about the jurisdiction and the venue, saying it happened all throughout California. They all reside in these areas, although Rachel Evan Woods had moved to Tennessee at the time. They are all saying that this is factual allegations. They list this down, that Wood is, they list about her being an actress and all of the facts about where she is, where she lived, what the employments were at the time going on. Okay. Since at least 2019, Gore has been mired in significant financial troubles. For example, her family members have presented evidence that Gore committed crimes of identity theft by opening credit card accounts in the names of her twin sister and deceased mother and borrowed money from an elderly family member under false pretenses, claiming that it was to assist with the purchase of a house, which Gore never carried out. Gore wrote in a notebook left with her family that her goal of being involved with the Phoenix Act was to make money. And he put this little note here. It says Phoenix Act, to protect, to make money doing that. That could mean two things to me. Well, I don't know about you guys, but, The Phoenix Act engages in fundraising, including through multiple listings on crowdfunding websites where people can donate money to the Phoenix Act. And at least one such GoFundMe for the Phoenix Act actually stated its goal was to raise $250,000. Now, the Phoenix Act and those acting on its behalf advertise and promote it as being affiliated with Wood, including in connection with fundraising. The Phoenix Act describes itself as a survivor-led nonprofit created by Evan Rachel Wood, and that works to end the cycle of domestic violence through organizing and passing legislation across the country. The Phoenix Act is seldom discussed online or in press without reference to Wood. Yeah, Brakely, I agree. If she did impersonate a police officer, that is outright felony. But I ask you, please, I am reading what he's saying. We're going to read her answer, and we're going to look at actually the proof that he has about it first, because it does sound quite salacious, doesn't it? Impersonating an FBI agent. Now we're into wire fraud. We're into all kinds of stuff here. He is accusing them of raising money on the auspice of helping people. Just basically, he gets to the point, we're going to get here, that it's all just to defame him. Everything is just to go against him because she wanted to have a better reputation than the one she had as being with him for 10 years. And I mean her as in Evan Rachel Woods, and Gore as in assisting her in that goal. Oh, just as Wood had intended, her public allegations against Warner would seem to be corroborated, albeit falsely, and her prior statements and testimony that she had been abused by one significant other, and in turn, the public allegations by several other women, would seem to be corroborated by Wood's allegations. She also hoped to absolve her reputation for having a wild past and her embarrassment for having been in a serious long-term relationship with a Marilyn Manson. Wood and Gore have derailed Warner's career. Wood acknowledged as much in Phoenix Rising when she stated that the film itself, which debuted long after her and Gore's orchestrated attack on Warner began, and that is true because remember we discussed Monday that there was a social media onslaught in February of 2021 for several coordinated stories that came out from several of the women about allegations of grooming and untoward events that they weren't really happy about, laying out a pattern, laying out at least 16 people came forward. And that is in the video that I have listed in the playlist below, the one that could be listed as updates. It's about the lawsuits, okay, and all of the victims. One of them is just about all of the statements, the Instagram posts, the Twitter posts, the online articles that appeared. Okay. When she stated then in the film itself, which didn't come out until 2022, January of this year, okay, she debuted long after her and Gore's orchestrated attack on Warner began, that it isn't about revenge or like he's a monster and like he needs to be punished and destroyed. He's already destroyed. Quote, Wood and Gore recruit, coordinate, and pressure prospective accusers to make false allegations against Warner. He claims that Gore used the Phoenix Act in connection with film project to recruit, coordinate, and pressure women who had been linked to Warner to make false allegations about him. Gore did this with Wood's assistance and acquiescence. This is a quote from something that Gore is accused of being sent out. Gore solicited prospective accusers by phone, text message, email, and or social media with messages such as the following, and I quote, Hey, I know this is a strange way to reach out, but my name is Ilma and I work with the Phoenix Act. I run it alongside Evan Rachel Wood. We were organizing a group of people to meet up in Los Angeles and Zoom Skype and to talk about experience they had that might be similar to yours. I'm not sure that you would be interested in participating. You aren't obligated to speak, but if you wanted to listen in, that would be fine. It's a small group and you are personally invited. If you wanted to know more first, I would be happy to jump on the phone or email more details. Best, Ilma. That doesn't seem so bad to me. But, I'm withholding judgment. It is claimed that she is named in this case because he is claiming that she used her proximity to Wood to attract and pressure potential accusers, and that she bragged to them that she was close with Wood and was acting on behalf of Phoenix Act, which ran alongside of Wood. Okay. Gore wooed potential accusers by claiming that she wanted them to organize through the Phoenix Act coalition and were personally invited to participate in small groups with Wood. The clear implication was that potential accusers would also be close to Wood, a famous actress, if they participated and agreed to be featured in Wood's film. These meetings, which provided a forum to coordinate allegations, were filmed for the Phoenix Rising. And that is true. If anyone has saw that documentary, there is a group in there of alleged victims speaking on it. It doesn't include all of them. Anyone who wanted to be part of it but not filmed or part of the actual documentary, there was plenty of people who came forward, but not all of them are listed in the documentary, and they did have the right whether to be on film or not. As further evidence of wrongful coordination, because that's what he's accusing here. He's saying that by organizing a group to talk about what happened to them, all by one perpetrator who they all know and they're all affiliated with in some way, that was an act against him, an illegal act against him. And that's where I want you to actually start thinking a little hypercritically here, especially in regards to the law. Is it? Is it actually illegal to get together and talk about something that happened to you? If it's all by the same person? I mean, it's a little unfair. It's probably got moral and ethical issues when you bring it out to social media. Believe me, I see definite wrong there. But was it illegal? And to remember the thing about defamation, it has to not be true. There's a lot of women saying the same thing. Do we really think all these people got together just to slam him? And if they did, why? How could they be coerced? What could they be enticed with? Just sitting next to a famous actress? Would you sell your soul to sit next to Evan Rachel Woods? Would you ruin a man's career and say these awful things happened to you just to have dinner with her, be part of her group? Because that's kind of what he's alluding to here, that undue pressure of her being famous and making a documentary made everybody lie about Brian Warner. It couldn't possibly have happened. Fame is an aphrodisiac. I agree with you. And, I agree with you too, Monkley. It's not exactly illegal. But let's go on. Because when I told you that this was a mess, this is a mess. This is a big, big mess. I admit they could have got very excited about it. But how far would they go, Liam? How far would you go? That's how I think on it. I say, what would I do? So, here we go. Some women who Wood and Gore contacted refused to participate because what they were being asked to say was not true. To the contrary, a number of Warner's romantic partners, included some recruited by Wood and Gore, have come forward to say that the allegations did not match their experiences with him. Greta Aurora, who was recruited by Gore but refused to participate in the coordinated attack, has stated publicly that she was still depicted falsely as a victim in the lawsuit filed by Gore's associate and Warner's former assistant, Ashley Walters. Wood and Gore impersonate an actual FBI agent by forging a fictitious letter claiming that Wood and other alleged victims of Warner were in danger. Wood and Gore conspired to impersonate a federal agent by creating and distributing a fictitious letter that is attached as evidence A. Let me just make sure I have that here. These are screenshots coming up between Gore and Wood show that the text of the letter was drafted by them. Here they're showing some little things, okay? Here is the letter to whom it may concern. Please be advised that Miss Evan Rachel Wood is one of the primary witnesses in connection with an impending criminal prosecution in Los Angeles involving an international and well-known public figure. We have advised Miss Wood that in our opinion, it is in her and her family's best interest to not be in Los Angeles at the time of this individual's arrest and the criminal proceedings. The safety of Miss Wood, her son, Jack, as well as other victims and their families, are of our utmost concern during this time. What you think? It's good. I don't know about the letter stating the arrest before it happens. In addition to the crimes detailed above, Wood submitted the forged letter in a California custody proceeding, using it as supposed evidence for why she should be able to move her son to Tennessee. Citing and quoting from the letter, Wood lied under penalty of perjury, stating that she was advised by criminal investigators that my and my family's safety was at risk, and that to punctuate the seriousness of the situation, I was provided with correspondence from a representative of the Federal Violent Crimes Department from the FBI. Upon information and belief, meaning this is coming from him, this is what he thinks happened. Gore aided and abetted Wood in forging the letter because the letter would help Wood. The forged letter would be picked up by the press and draw attention to the Phoenix Act, Wood, and false allegations against Warner, and the forged letter would be used to recruit, encourage, and convince people to claim they were abused by Warner because they were being led to believe that Warner was a threat to their safety and under federal investigation. Claim C is that Gore creates a fictitious email account impersonating Warner. From in or around September 2019 until the present, Gore used fake email accounts, pretended to be Warner to create correspondence that she believed would be harmful to Warner and bolster the allegations levied against him. One such fake email account created and controlled by Gore was bhwarner1969gmail.com. BHW are Warner's initials, and 1969 is the year he was born. Warner did not create this email account and never used it. For example, upon information and belief, in or around September 2019, Gore used those fake email accounts to send and receive emails containing links to pornography. Upon information and belief, these links are believed to have contained prohibited content, as the URLs currently do not work, and thus were likely taken down. As another example, upon information and belief, Gore used fake email accounts to create documents that looked like Warner communicating with attorneys regarding a criminal investigation. In one such email dated February 8th of 2021, just days after Wood and several others made fictitious claims of abuse against Warner in a coordinated attack, V.H. Warner 1969 received an email from a person purporting to be writing on behalf of Warner's attorney. However, the email's purported sender did not work for or ever work for that attorney. It is a bit weird. Upon information and belief, Gore created these documents as part of a wrongful conspiracy against Warner to enhance her reputation and esteem with Wood and the Phoenix Act, and persons that she was soliciting or had solicited to speak out against Warner, ultimately to enrich herself. Warner first learned of these fake email accounts and fake emails described above in November of 2021, when copies of these emails were shared with him. Before that, Warner had never received any emails sent to or from these fake accounts. According, Warner did not discovered, and a reasonable and diligent investigation would not have disclosed that Gore's use of the fake email accounts contributed to Warner's harm. Now he claims that Gore swatted him in February 21. Swatting is the harassment tactic of making a hoax or prank report to emergency services to elicit the dispatch of a large number of armed officers, e.g. the Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT team, to a particular location or address. Swatting is often triggered by the false report of a serious law enforcement emergency such as a bomb threat, homicide, hostage situation, or a mental health emergency. For example, the claim that an individual at a certain location is suicidal, homicidal, and/or very unwell. Swatting creates fear, anxiety, and trauma in its victims, as it did with Warner. It spurs copycats, especially where the victims are celebrities or where the incidents are publicized. And of course, it carries a risk of violence, not only for the innocent victims of swatting, but also for the law enforcement officers responding to what then appears to be a serious emergency. Accordingly, swatting is and has been a crime in California under Penal Code Section 148.3, as well as in other states and federal law. Gore swatted Warner on or about February 3rd. The LAPD was notified that the FBI had received a call from a friend of Warner named Ilya Gore, who claimed that an emergency existed because she had not been able to reach him and was concerned for his safety. The report was false. Warner was at home with his wife and a guest and not in any danger. Gore knew her report was false. She and Warner had never even met. She has never been Warner's friend and had no basis to believe Warner posted any risk to danger to himself. On the evening of February 3rd, multiple LA police officers and squad cars responded to a purported emergency at the Warner's home. When Warner did not answer the door, more units arrived and an LAPD helicopter was deployed. The officers continued to attempt to gain access into Warner's home, and the low-flying helicopter sighted above, shining its spotlight onto Warner's property and into the windows of his home. For reference to that, if you refer to my first video that I did on Marilyn Manson, that is actually caught on film. We played the clip, Karma and I in Cheshire, during our first coverage of it, back on the channel that I was a part of at the time, Karma Valley. That video is also linked in my playlist, which I have below in the description. And you will see that he didn't answer the door. The police were everywhere. He refused to answer the door, making the situation a little bit worse. In my humble opinion, I'm not going to judge here. Whatever. If she called in the SWAT, she called in the SWAT. But I'm saying he really didn't do anything to help the situation at the time. It was reported widely and everywhere. And the police were quite upset. He's blaming it all on her now. It is such overkill, Luke. I'm telling you. This is all going so far. Don't you agree? I mean, come on. This is a mess. Yes? At approximately 8:10 p.m., a person associated with Warner received an email from the LAPD detective stating that, "Today we were notified by the FBI that they received a call from a friend of Mr. Manson. The friend, Ilma Gore, has not been able to reach him and is concerned for his safety. We went to his residence, but there was no answer. Is there a way for us to contact him to check on his well-being? If not, can you have him reach out to Ilma?" The LAPD returned multiple times and entered Warner's property. Eventually, the police left after determining there was no evidence of any trouble. In addition to 4 LAPD squad cars and a helicopter, paparazzi were at Warner's doorstep, which is how I have the video in my video, because they filmed it. When the police arrived, the paparazzi took videos and photographs and recorded someone making the false statements, which can be heard in the videos, that a person inside the house was screaming for help. This created an even more dangerous situation for Warner and his wife and guest inside the house. Upon information and belief, the paparazzi were present because they had been tipped off in advance by Gore, who, as explained below, had solicited and improperly received Warner's home address and other information. That evening, of course, the video and images of the police went viral, and it was reported that Marilyn Manson's home was swarming with cops after a worried friend called concern for the singer's well-being, saying they'd been unable to get in touch with him for hours. The welfare check was requested by an alarmed friend who had spent several hours trying to contact him. Predictably, press reports focused heavily on the fact that just 2 days earlier, Wood and several other women made public accusations against Warner. This was all by design. Gore made the false report in order to elicit and dispatch a large number of armed police officers to Warner's home. Gore's purposes included harassing and causing harm to Warner in the immediate wake of a highly organized and orchestrated February 1st, 2021 accusations, drawing further attention to the false allegations against Warner that she had coordinated, and creating a situation that could result in video footage of Warner being arrested. It also created a scenario in which Warner, his wife, and his guests could have been harmed in the chaos of the moment. This swatting by Gore was part of a scheme to benefit the Phoenix Act, Wood, and the film project, and to curry favor with Wood and potential and existing accusers against Warner. Based on the press coverage of the police response, which reported on the disturbing incident at Warner's home and the allegations levied days earlier, but not that this welfare check was a hoax. That never came out. Gore had been successful. He then accuses her of hacking into his computer files and social media accounts. Okay, and this part's a little bit boring, but he actually does say that he believes she did this. Okay, based on information that she has on him, she believes that he hacked into everything that he has. That she is apparently Ilma Gore is a super spy. I don't mean to make light, but he is giving her a lot of credit here, don't you think? Like a lot of credit for things that are going wrong. And I agree, a lot of it is very, very sus. He also accuses her of slander. You know what, Shay? That would be appreciative if you have just the footage and you want to put it up in the Murder Minions room. Please do so. In any of the Murder Minion rooms in the Discord, if you have free access there, that would be wonderful. Easier for them to look at that footage. I know, Brakely, it's not that easy, and I do think it's sus that she did all of this. I mean, it would be hard for me. It's hard for me to believe that one person thinks they could get away with all of this, like all of this. I mean, if she didn't want to be blamed for the actual SWAT, why would she give them her name? If they're not friends and they've never met, I'm sure she wasn't that stupid. That could have been set up by anyone. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just saying, that could go either way, really, for me. Okay. Between 2019 and 2021, as part of her multi-pronged attack on Warner, Gore had multiple conversations with prospective accusers in which she claimed that a 1996 short film made by Warner called The Groupie depicted child abuse and child pornography. Now, you're going to hear a lot about this film, okay? As part of the evidence, there are actually interviews and conversations right from this film. There are many people who came forward and talk about it and actually seeing it and what had happened in it, and Marilyn's own words himself. Unfortunately, it's very hard to tell the age of anybody who was in that film, but things did happen here that weren't exactly what we would call normal during filming. And by all accounts, including from what I read, Brian Warner's own words, unexpected things happened. He was just going, adding as he went and proceeding on whim. Gore's statement about Warner and Groupie are demonstrably false. Gore knew they were false or acted with reckless disregard of their falsity. And he's speaking about the fact that the person who was in the film was a minor. The actress who was in there is Paula Weiss, and she's 22 years old at the time the film was made. She was publicly stated that she was not a minor and involved in conceptualizing the plot of the film and was acting and hamming it up. Clips from Groupie were featured in a 1998 tour documentary called Dead to the World. Weiss not only was thanked in the credits for that film, but also went on to star in music videos, including Manson's Long Hard Road Out of Hell in 1997 and Garbage's Push It in 1998. The director of Groupie and Dead to the World, Joseph Cultus, was publicly stated that Gore's claims are all fake. Still, promulgating these and other falsehoods was part of Gore's scheme to orchestrate and amplify false accusations against Warner, thereby bolstering Wood's claim that Warner had been her and others' abuser. This in turn would bring further attention to the Phoenix Act, the Associated Film Project, and curry the favor with Wood and potential and existing accusers against Warner. Indeed, Gore's defamatory allegations regarding Groupie have been repeated in at least one civil complaint filed against Warner, and consequently have reverberated throughout the press. This is entirely unsurprising, given that Gore discussed these false allegations with the accusers. Okay. Yeah. So, we're going to get intentional infliction of emotional distress. Organizing the campaign is what he's using there. All of that. For his second cause of action, defamation per se, all the statements that she made that he claims are false in talking to accusers about the movie and about other allegations that are made by each other. Okay. Third class action, violation of comprehensive computer data and access fraud. This is where he gets into the fact that he believes that she got into all of his logins and passwords for Warner's personal, business, social media, and email accounts without his permission, including from Warner's former assistant, who was entrusted with such information as part of her performing her duties. Remember who the former assistant is. Ashley Walters, who also filed a claim against Brian Warner. That claim has been dismissed from court with prejudice. She can't file at all, again, on any of the charges that she was levying against him civilly. He claims Ashley Walters gave Ilma Gore all his personal contact information, and that's how she got into the systems. Fourth cause of action, impersonating over the internet. Warner incorporates by reference of the proceeding as fully set forth that Gore, with Wood's expressed or tacit approval, knowing and without consent, credibly impersonated Warner through and or the internet website by other electronic means and purposes for harming, intimidating, threatening, or defrauding Warner. Warner was harmed as a result of this. Gore and Wood acted with oppression, fraud, or malice as defined by California Civil Code. That is his claim. Here is the letter. Please be advised, and it says basically exactly what the text message said. Please be advised that Ms. Evan Rachel Woods is a key witness in connection to a criminal investigation in Los Angeles, California, involving an international and well-known public figure. It says it's redacted. They took all the name. That is redacted that it was here and signed. Okay, Special Victims Bureau, Los Angeles. All of this is redacted as far as who actually signed it. Now, based on this, you can't really tell, right, if that's true or not. It doesn't look like it because it doesn't look very official to me, okay? This is claimed to be a list that was distributed to the people in the group, anyone contacted by Phoenix Rising, the Phoenix Act, Ilma Gore or Rachel Evan Woods. And used to actually say, this was the things that people were saying. And did you have any of these? It looks like a tick list of things that you could claim that Brian Warner did to you. It is pretty damning evidence to have a tick list of allegations in a group of victims supposedly talking about things that happened to them. Why do you need a tick list? Why would such a thing be necessary? Attachment C. Sentences and phrases to put into social media for the biggest impact. And so when he hit me, I started to feel crazy. I would cry and I slit my wrists in the hopes that he'd stop hitting me. I must have looked away. These are all statements that people said, and she organized them and wrote them all down. Why? That to me means two things. I don't think that the people who said this are making it up. But I do wonder why Ilma Gore is writing it all down. I wonder about that. I wonder if we had a good group that Phoenix Rising is actually trying to do something good and they got a bad seed. To me, a little bit. I look here. I'm not saying it's all true. We ain't in the court of law yet, are we? This is just a filing. But when I'm looking at it and I see something like this, I can't say that this didn't happen because I heard all of their stories. They were different enough in the different things. They had common things. Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. But so do predators that groom. They do it the same. So I can't really say that it didn't happen. Because I can't really wrap my head around so many women saying it did. And at different times, different events, but in the same kind of sort of way, all just different enough, you know. The age, how they all had to look. We have visual evidence of everybody he dated. You can't tell me when you match them all up, he didn't eventually make them all look the same. It gets to the point after a year or so of dating Marilyn Manson, they're all dressing the same, looking the same hair, same makeup style. Now, is that all an act? I don't know. I'm not really willing to weigh in yet on that because I'm telling you, I look forward to getting together with you, Shay. This is really, really going to be. Yes, I know when you're reading it, right? I don't want to leave it up too long, Liam, because there's so much to read there and it could be quite upsetting to everybody. Okay, so on that was an hour, but I'm going to briefly go over for the next half hour if you're willing. What Rachel Evan Woods had to say about this. Because do you remember talking about slap as a defense when we covered the Depp Heard trial? Anti-slap, right? That means like anything that you do for the greater good in organizing, as far as making a statement, could be protected by the First Amendment. Well, our friend, Reverend Rachel Evan Woods, is actually going to be filing, and they filed an anti-slap motion for defense against this lawsuit that Brian Warner has thrown at them. Now, both of them have done declarations. I'm pulling up Rachel's because we haven't heard much about her yet. She hasn't got a voice in this story yet. We heard a lot of accusations against Ilma, right? Seems like she's a very bad player, and that she is doing all this to gain some kind of favor with Rachel, okay? But he names Rachel first because she's the famous party, because she's the one who had the relationship with him, and he feels that she's the one that organized Phoenix Rising just to get back at him. Really, she's just doing this to get credibility for her own career, and because she regrets a 10-year relationship that she had with him. That's right, Monkley, only if there's no malice. That's right. claiming that perceived ends justify dodgy means should not be included. I get you. I get you, Liam. And you guys know a little bit about this, so you could see why I say quagmire, dodgy. This is getting really, really messy. Okay. The declaration of Evan Rachel Woods in support of special motion to strike portions of plaintiff's complaint pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedures 425.16, which is anti-SLAPP. Okay. So this is long. I'm going to skip a little bit. I'm not going to tell. Do you need to know all of the details of who she is? You know she's famous. She's a defendant in this action. She has been known professionally as an actress since she was like 5 years old. Okay, she talks about her history, how she met Brian, and etc. But we want to get down to the meat of this. She talks about how she tried to change the statute of limitations, all of her work with the Phoenix. She gives all great details here. Okay. And here we go to the meat of it. On February 1st, 2021, I named Mr. Warner as my abuser for the first time in a post on my Instagram account. A true and correct copy of my February 1st Instagram post is attached herein. I have never pressured anyone to make false allegations against Mr. Warner or to be part of the Phoenix Rising documentary. The statements I have made about the abuse inflicted by Mr. Warner are true. I have no reason to doubt the accusations made against Mr. Warner by other survivors. I am familiar with Mr. Warner's 2002 statements about the groupie movie On Dinner for Five and the civil complaints filed against him by other victims last year. I am also aware that accusations of physical and sexual abuse of minors have been made against Mr. Warner. In February 2021, I posted copies of letters from Massachusetts Representative Natalie Higgins and Florida Representative Anna V. Escamani requesting an FBI investigation of Mr. Warner based on multiple allegations of physical and sexual assault, including those against minors. True and correct copies of my February 2021 Instagram post regarding those letters are attached here too as Exhibit 2. Let me ask you guys in the chat, what do you think she just said there? To me, not being a lawyer, she just said, yeah, there were allegations made about a minor, but it was done because legal representatives were asking for. It's like, all I did was repost and spread the information put out by a federal, by the government actually checking into this. That doesn't mean I said he did it. I'm just saying they're checking into it. That's not illegal, is it? That's not illegal, that part. I'm saying, Attached as Exhibit 3, that was Exhibit 2, the 2 letters, okay? Exhibit 3 is a true and correct copy of the web page. This comes from Manson's wiki with the video interview from Marilyn Manson himself, Dinner for Five, okay? And I'm going to actually put this in my Discord because when you read his own words and his own description about these videos that he did, and if they're talking about it, how could that be illegal? How is that? How is that defamation? To spread his own conversations about these videos out there. Is that defamation? His own words? It has to be untrue, right? To be defamation? To cause him emotional distress? I'll grant you these. You can get emotional distress when your own words are used against you. I saw it happen in the Amber Heard trial. She got caught out all the time. It caused her great distress. It caused her to lose the suit. It seems like Rachel Evan Woods is trying to say here that she's just putting out his own words and her version of the truth, because it matches her experience with him. And she's trying to organize survivors to stop it. She admits to organizing survivors to try to stop the abuse. Mm. I have provided evidence to both the FBI and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in connection with criminal investigations of Mr. Warner. On information and belief, these investigations are still ongoing. After leaving the relationship with Mr. Warner, I reunited with Jamie Bell, who I had dated prior to meeting Mr. Warner. Mr. Bell and I never officially married, but we had a son. In or around November of 2020, I learned that Mr. Warner had been making threats against people who were accusing him of crimes. One person posted an audio recording of Mr. Warner to social media. In the recording, Mr. Warner, whose voice I recognized, says, among other things, I have a fucking geo of fucking maps of people that have created all my problems. I know where they live, where their kids go to school, where they work, their parents. Because of the threats Mr. Warner made when we were dating and when I ran into him in 2014, the threats he was making generally against the people that have created his problems, quote, the types of conduct I observed while dating Mr. Warner, and my involvement in providing evidence in connection with the criminal investigations, I have feared for my safety and the safety of my son. In late November 2020, I made the decision to reside exclusively in my home in Tennessee. Therefore, a dispute arose between myself and my ex, Mr. Bell, regarding the shared custody of our son. And on March 1st of 2021, in connection with our custody dispute, Mr. Bell filed an ex parte application in parentage action in the Los Angeles Superior Court. My lawyers and I opposed the ex parte application on March 2nd, and I submitted a declaration in connection with that opposition. In my declaration, I explained to the court my involvement in the criminal investigations of Mr. Warner, who I did not name, but referred to as the alleged offender, and why I feared living in close proximity to him. My declaration attached a copy of the FBI letter, a redacted version of which is attached to Mr. Warner's complaint as attachment A. I did not dispute the FBI letter outside. I did not distribute the FBI letter outside the scope of my custody dispute with Mr. Bell, did not provide a copy to Mr. Warner, and did not leak it to the press. I did not fabricate or forge the FBI letter. When I received a copy of the FBI letter and when I submitted it to the court, I believed it to be authentic. I also did not knowingly make any false statements of fact in my declaration. My intention in filing my declaration, which attached the FBI letter, was not to cause Mr. Warner emotional distress. Rather, my intention was to explain to the court why I feared living in close proximity to my abuser. I did not know that Mr. Warner would obtain copies of court filings from my confidential custody dispute with Mr. Bell. A true and current copy of the HBO documentary Phoenix Rising Parts 1 and 2 will be lodged with the court on a thumbnail drive as Exhibit 4. Part 1 of Phoenix Rising includes excerpt of Mr. Warner's appearance on Dinner for Five, and it has the timestamp there. And Part 2 of Phoenix Rising includes portions of the October 21st, 2020 meeting of the survivors, beginning at timestamp 2 minutes and 56 seconds. And then she declares under law, that all of this is true. Okay, this is, I know it's this way. You can see this all in the other video too. She did provide that, hey, I did call him out with everybody else on February 1st, but I'm telling the truth. This is the letters from the representatives that hit. This is where the accusations of minors. This is where she's getting dragged in, Evan Rachel Woods, as stating that he used minors in the group, but they are actually investigating this. She never said that it was within particular movies or whatever. She just shared this information, which is public information, by the way. Okay. There's a second letter from the other Commonwealth. And Exhibit 3, this is the dinner for five transcript. And when you go over this whole thing, it becomes quite clear that there was quite a few things that happened during groupie that weren't intended, that were quite, he admits to a lot of it. That's all I can say. There are some things that happened in here that like aren't too cool, by me. And there's some other things that he talks about in other in other videos, in other plans that they had made. There are several other people involved in this conversation, and I'm going to be linking this actual dinner for five. I'm going to link that down below in the video for you guys to pull out later. But for now, just based on that, we have his own words. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing the legal documents, and just before we finish up a little bit, it was a lot quicker to go through her contesting of actually what he's saying, and her being Rachel Evan Woods, because actually I didn't pull up Ilma Grace's because that's going to take a whole nother hour to do. And basically, she goes over it point by point that she didn't do any of it, but she doesn't really provide any evidence to prove that she didn't. But basically, her argument is that she's allowed to work for that organization and doing good, and he can't say anything about it because he's guilty of everything that they're saying, that the victims are saying he's doing. And she's using the victim testimony to support everything that she does. I didn't see anything, and Shay, I don't know if you can back me up here, but I didn't see anything in her affidavit that actually could actually justify or say that anything about the computer hacking or the emails or any of that stuff. That she just discovered these things she's not claiming any part of it, that she had any part of it to do at all. Yes, the one that is claimed to have swatted him, the name Ilma Gore was used, and that is Evan Rachel Wood's partner. The trial is not set to start until 2023. Okay. At the end, they've got a lot to go. Right now, they're going back and forth with the anti-SLAPP motion. I do believe the anti-SLAPP motion will be heard by November, if I'm correct, by November of 20. We have not heard on any of the motions so far. It goes back and forth. It's on this case, okay? On this case. But what do you think about her claim that really she did what he said she did, but this is the reason that she did it, and it's not really coached the way he's saying? Like they're actually talking about the same thing, but it's two different stories. I mean, as far as Evan Rachel Woods and Brian Warner, they're saying the same thing. There were letters distributed. Yes, there was, but it wasn't distributed publicly. How did Brian get it? And does that mean that maybe Brian hacked them? I mean, if he's got all of this information that she says, I don't know how you have it, because I only put it in the custody case. And how did you get the private custody case? I don't know. I know, Liam. That's kind of what Ilma Gore is saying, is you can't sue me because I was doing the greater good. And but if she did it the wrong way, I have issue with that, right? But again, we've not seen anything in a court of law yet. Handwritten notes. I understand, that looked really bad. I don't like that. Okay. And yes, Shay, Gore does have a terrible reputation. That's another thing. And I think between Shay and I, we'll be able to bring you some of that information. Not that I want to shade your opinion outside the legal things that happen, but you're going to see it talked about anyway on socials, and you're going to see it in the news when the trial gets closer. So we might as well brace you and let you know about it. Although remember, what gets admitted into the court of law is what counts as far as where the case goes. Mm-hmm. If you can prove they lied by one thing, then they lied about everything. It does look bad, okay? But did not, just answer me this. Does not Evan Rachel Woods have the right to be afraid of her abuser and to tell a custody court that's why she didn't want to live in LA anymore? If she had heard threats, if this was going on, she came out publicly. She organized a whole group. She knew the documentary was coming out. Is she not entitled to protect herself, her child? Is she not allowed to talk about it in a custody case without being accused of anything? These were her fears based on what she thought happened to her, what was happening to her. She didn't use everybody else. She only talked about her situation. Does she have that right? I don't see that as defamation. I don't see that as organizing to go get him. I see that as protecting herself. I do. Yes. We have more than one, okay? I can tell you, and Shay, maybe you'll agree with me, there are more people making accusations than there are sticking up for him as far as female people. Yes, he has an ex that is sticking up for him, saying that, nothing really terrible happened. But we have the one that he's married to now also accused of organizing with him to destroy Instagram accounts that are against him, that are hacking, okay, and abusing other social media accounts. And so they seem to know a lot about how to do that, to be accusing somebody else of it, Exactly, as long as it's not being a manipulative tactic. Now, I guess you could look at it both ways, but she just needed to prove why she wanted to stay in a different state than LA. Why, it was gonna, in order to have a judge weigh in on custody between the two locations, he needed to know why she couldn't be in LA. And that was the evidence that she provided for it. Where are you guys as far as thinking about the rights of organizing Phoenix Rising Act at all? With the purpose, it wasn't just his victims she organized it for, it was all victims, but it did kind of focus on his. And it did lead to a documentary based mostly on him. It is true. There are more accusers than there are people saying it didn't happen. I documented 16 of them from the February 1st, from that whole month of February, between Twitter, Instagram, and media events like articles in magazines, small papers, and podcasts. Well, I think I'm going to be wrapping this up pretty shortly. Do you guys have any questions about what I just showed you so far? Because now we're going to have another one on the other 3 cases. Probably next week. I think I'm done for the week on this. Maybe Monday. And also, I'll be putting up a tab on the community tab about times. I'd like to know if you guys could handle if this actual this particular series that I do, if you could handle it earlier in the day. Yep, Alicia, there's a part 3 because there's a case still open. Esme Bianco's case is still open. Jane Doe's case is still open. And Ashley Smithkline's case is still open. Those 3 I have to give you the details on. And one of them has actually been told to go through mediation. Yeah, this isn't the first time it's been a one-sided doc. Documentaries, we hope that they're more balanced. That this was very one-sided, Shay, I agree. But, I mean, maybe he didn't want to participate. The next JD trial, Monkley. No, let's hope there's not. I actually heard there's rumor only, that he may forego the amount of money necessary if she will not appeal, just to make it all just stop. Although I don't think she's ever going to be done with him. I agree, Sandy. It was kind of putting the horse before the cart to do a documentary. Okay. I do. Especially, and what does all of that publicity, what does all of that, big publicity, making a documentary, being out there on social media, what has that done to the cases? What has that done to the civil cases? It does not look good. Not to me. I don't understand why that happened first. True. Egoists. Yes, Shay, I look forward to getting together with you in the Discord, and let's chat over at Murder Minions when you have time this week. Hit me up at your convenience, love, because there's a lot to this, and I'm glad you guys are still interested. There's quite a few of you still here, as monotone as it is to just listen about legal records. I get that. It's hard to make it entertaining. It is just facts so far. I can just give you facts because I don't want to give you anything but facts. I want you to come along with it and make your own conclusions like I am and talk about it. It's something we could talk about in the Discord with the Murder Minions, okay? Something we could talk about here in the live chat before and after we go over the legal documents, okay? Next Monday, we'll go over the 3 cases, or as far as we can into the 3 cases based on your questions that you have. Well, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. This has nothing to do with Turd Lady, absolutely, except for whatever you guys bring up and I answer, because I always answer what you ask, okay? There is a trial next month. He's in. Do you mean Johnny, or do you mean Marilyn Manson, Monkley? Because I do know there's a motion on the floor, but I don't think there's a trial. Okay. It was to show that she got the statue changed. I understand that, Shay. It was a big thing she did. And you know what? I was supported it all the way. Her testimony, I read her testimony in my video because it really meant something. She did good work. Okay. And that's really why I think this is so messy and how it's getting torn apart. If there was a bad seed, Ilma Gore does look a little sus. I'll say it. That's just a personal opinion. Right now, just based on what I've read so far, I'm a little side. I'm looking at you. Ilma, a little bit. Like, I'm sorry, but this does look a little bad. And how could you do that to such a good cause? Like, I'll be a little feeling a certain way about it, Trial is the 25th, you heard. On which one? I'm going to go look on which one that is, but I don't think it's on this because they have a motion for slap that has to go forth first. But, the trials have started without. I'm going to look at the time frame monthly, and I will post it on my community tab on all of the active cases, what the time frame is, okay? Because I don't want to say the wrong dates. I looked at 4 of them today for hours and hours, and I don't want to. Oh, the trial for the 25th, that is based on they've got to come forward with the actual, summary and the conclusion, and then they have to go about whose lawyers' fees get paid and what. And don't forget, they got the ACLU filing to look at. And any motions that were left undone. That's June 25th. That's on the Johnny Depp case. Oh, yes. Right. And also there is another case coming forward. The man that accuses that Johnny, assaulted him. But did you see that evidence, Mowgli? Did you see that they have pictures of him hugging and carrying on with him afterwards as if nothing happened? Wasn't that a bit sus? Anyway, I can't wait to see that one too, but I don't think that's going to be televised. That's kind of small, unless they're banking on Johnny's name again. But if it gets televised, there's another thing I'm going to put on community. Or actually, you could tell me right here. Do you want to see it if it's televised? Do you want to watch another live trial? That was a long, arduous deal. You know, it might not be as exciting as Amber Heard. There will be no poop in the bed on this one. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, you want to see it, Ginger? You want to see it? You guys too? Okay. A couple of you do. Okay. I'll take it under advisement. When it gets closer, we'll see. Aw, Sandy. Aw, girl. Poop on the set. Liam, we could get some of the dogs, Liam, to go poop on the set and make it more interesting. If it is, it'll be short. It would be short. And you know what? I don't do anything during the day. If you guys want me to get up again, messing with my Aussie time, but I would do it for you if you want, if it's entertaining for you, Ginger, I'm getting, I didn't think I was weird that way, Ginger, but I discovered I am. I really, really enjoyed covering the Johnny Depp trial with Ranty. That was fun. I'll have to look for people to cover it with because, I don't know what Ranty's doing and I don't know if he wants to cover it. And I want to stay on top of Manson too. Believe me, tell you right now, if Manson's trial goes live, but I don't think it will. There's too much sexual assault. And when it is about abuse and sexual assault, I don't really think cameras should be in the courtroom. I really don't. I want dignity for survivors. Does that make any sense? And that's the only part about the Depp trial that bothered me, is that they can use that she was there talking about that out front and they put it in front of the cameras. I'm not trying to hide it in the dark like anybody has anything to be ashamed of. I'm just saying how hard it is to go through that. And cameras don't make it any easier, An element of respect. Yes. Yeah. Oh, if we could get Dr. Curry to assess the production assistant, that would be something. Oh boy. Yeah, I agree with you, Ginger. An element of respect. I guess that's what I'm saying. As wonderful as it was to see that trial, that's the only part that kind of got me. I hear you, Monkley. Sing for me. Sing for me, Brick. Yep. I like it. I can just hear the deep tones of that song, actually, when you just put that out there. I know, but for you guys, I would change my sleep schedule, Sandy, because it's just as interesting to me. And so anyway, on that, okay, we got 3 more minutes. Do you have any other questions? Okay, otherwise, I'll put up a community tab about making these episodes a little earlier for some of you I am so appreciative that those of you across the pond who actually stay up late to watch, and those of you from the here in the United States who take your dinner break or a little bit early from work or just try to listen, and for those of you that catch it on replay, thank you, because if you enjoy it, and I do love it, I'll keep doing it. As long as you're here to hear it, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. Does it? Okay. All right. Judge Penny kept the whole court respectful. She did, Liam. She actually did. She didn't allow any talking, snickering, any shout back. Nobody was allowed to say anything, even when they thought that Amber wasn't telling the truth. So that's like, no, Anika, it's 2 a.m. So you might be on the early one, huh? So I'm going to put it up because I could go a little bit earlier on these. I really could. All right. So on that, I'm going to wrap it up. And you guys are going to hear from me next Monday. We'll go over the other 3 cases. Okay. And in the meantime, I will see some of you over in the Discord. For those of you, I do have a Discord about this. There's a special section just for legal crime updates. It's called Murder Minions. If you'd like to join, become a member. Get in that Discord. We do have some fun. We have some great discussions. Okay. I hate doing the YouTube things, but that's how it is. I mean, I'm a YouTuber. Yes, I am. Ranty made me a professional one too now. So now I got a total line. I got to tell you to like the video, share the video, replay the video, whatever, get it out there, become a member, subscribe, all of that. support the channel so I can do the things that you want to hear from me. There, I did it. Look, I didn't even stutter. Anyway, thank you guys. All right. Wait, you have a question? Go ahead, Ginger. Last question of the night before I go. Take your time, Ginger. I'm waiting. Is Discord really that toxic? I don't think mine is. Mine did have a problem at one time, where before I made it known how I wanted my Discord to be because it represents me. At one time, it got a little crazy, and people may have been using it for not such good things. But now everyone is respectful. There are particular places for, well, they do some naughty stuff because I do run mayhem, but there's special rooms for that. And then there is the part for the legal. But we do not talk about other creators, and we do not go into anything about other people. Everybody's respectful. There are people from all different communities in there. It is mostly small creators plus members now. And members that wanted to join to be part of, the Murder Minion community that I've got going there. We have discussions about things. I join live chats. We run games. We even show, series and movies occasionally. We're going towards that. So I don't think it's that toxic. But people can turn it to be, Ginger. I'll be honest with you. If people turn it to be something else, like a exclusive club to just do stuff, like talk about other people or things, then it can be. And I just choose not to have that going on, but I can't control. There are 78 people in there now, Ginger. I can't control every single one of them. I just ask everybody to treat everybody the way they want to be treated, inside and out of the Discord. I don't think mine is toxic. I welcome you to come try it out. And then if you don't like it, leave. I would hold you not in any disregard either way. It is everybody's choice whether they participate or not. I know Discord gets a bad name. I've not had a terrible experience with mine. It did have some growing pains, and I'm quite honest about it. You asked me, I'm going to tell you. That's bare rules, right? You asked me, you get honesty or no comment. On this one, I decided to comment. You're right, Liam. People can turn anything toxic when you have a group, but we really try not to. We try to be respectful for everybody, but everybody has to be know that there's people from all over in there, all time zones, all countries. And we try to do things at different times. There's different places for different things. There's some raunchiness that goes on about mayhem, I'll admit. There's some half-naked men sometimes in there. Not full naked. We don't do that. But there's some chests, and there's some dirty jokes. And then we also talk about the content for the mayhem stream, and people will put articles and stuff in there. But it's all contained to that area called mayhem. So you don't have to go there if that's not what you like. And same thing with Murder Minions. If you don't like talking about serial killers or, how to dispose of bodies, then, don't go in the Murder Minion part. There's also a part for Am I the Asshole, where we all share Am I the Asshole threads that can become part of the series that I do. Same thing with Black Mirror. There's a place that people could talk about Black Mirror, and they can actually talk about participating in the Black Mirror series. So, it's interactive. There's also creative labs for people that want to talk about getting a new mic or best equipment. How did you start with video? Do you want to learn Streamlabs? So does anybody use Canva? How do you make a good thumbnail? All of that stuff for the small creators. There's places to do that also, and people to meet that do it, And there's just a bunch of people that I talk to every day. So I hope that answers your question, Ginger. Could you just let me know if it did? And if it did, I'm going to leave. And then hopefully you can hit me up somehow on any of the contact information on my About page, and also down in the description. I got Twitter, I got Instagram, I've got an email address, and also on the back of the video on how you want me to contact you, if you want more information about it. But okay, good. I'm glad I could. And Ginger, I love that you're here again with this legal stuff, because you have a good, I had fun with you over at Ranties, and I had fun with so many of you that are here, and so many of that have stayed with me from the start on these, and you all know who you are. And, thank you again. So on that, this time I'm really out. Okay. Good night, everybody.